Now, I'm not gonna hit you over the head with it right out of the gate, but I have a hot take that might be not only the most heavy hot take that I've thrown out, at least in a long time, but quite potentially a hot take that is going to shock, surprise, and warm your heart in the way that no hot take has ever taken hotly before.
Huh. I am shocked and intrigued, and I'm going to get our openings out of the way to get
hello
to
and
that.
welcome.
Welcome to the Movie Men Podcast. I am Peter, that is Brady. We're reviewing the 2015 film The Witch, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts of that in a minute, but hot take away.
Oh, you want it right now? Like, is it?
Well, when do you think it's appropriate? Should I continue?
Do you have trivia?
I do. Well, I'll peel it back for a second. It is the spooky season, so we had a vote for horror movies. So more on the scary side of things versus, like Charlie Brown, Halloween, or whatever, family movies there are. So we had some non-family movies. We had The Witch, we had The Nun, we had Paranormal Activity, we had The Invitation. So we had The Witch winning, of course. Strong following and closely almost winning was The Nun. So regardless, we were going to have a spooky or creepy time. But The Witch came out ahead. And obviously that's what we're here to review. And I do have trivia, so I can get right into that if that makes sense to do first.
Yeah, now you've had weeks to find a suitable trivia music replacement song.
Oh, okay. That's not where I thought you were going with this. I was going to say I've had 7 years to come up with trivia.
Yeah.
No, actually. So here's the thing.
Oh my God. Wait. This sounds an awful lot like an excuse coming.
It's not for lack of trying. I have to be quite honest. If you had a video camera on me, which I'm not convinced you don't, but if you did, I actually put some time into it a couple different nights in the last 7 days where I've been on a website with appropriate, sounds that can be utilized. And I've been clicking.
Someone just be like, well, I don't know if you have a camera on me, but several nights this week, I was on a website. Okay, pal.
For sound effects.
Oh, okay.
And I actually was putting some time and effort into finding sound effects, and I'm telling you, I found nothing that was a suitable replacement. I've got an interim from the soundboard that I can use. It's not the long-term solution, so if you want, I'll just postpone using it. But I swear, it's not from lack of effort, but it's a big deal to me, and it has to be the right sound, and all I found was either hokey or just it wasn't right. So
yeah, this is not a task that should be taken lightly.
No. So there is no sound, but there is trivia.
All right, let's do it, sir.
Okay, here's some tidbits that I just want to lay on you before it's one question that I give you. So the premise, obviously, this is more just setting the stage, obviously, as most are aware who have seen this film, takes place in the period specifically around about 60 years before the infamous witch trials in Salem. Something I found curious, and I didn't realize this, but there was the whole symbolism with the rabbit, and I was curious what that meant, what the significance of that was. And what I found out, what I didn't know, was apparently hares in colonial New England were considered a magical creature that were often associated with witches or witches that stole milk or spoiled milk from farm animals. So that was the reason that hares were involved in this film as far as a symbolic use.
Yeah. You can never trust a pair of conies.
Unless they're boiling in soup with taters.
With taters, yeah.
The word witch with 2 V's, is some of the posters show, is how the word would have been written at the time, as at the time the letter W was not yet commonly used.
Huh. That's one of my favorite letters. No, I'm serious.
You're actually serious.
I don't know if most people have like a favorite letter.
Yeah.
But I like W. I like the way it's shaped. Yeah. It's my favorite letter to say in French. Right. So it's just like, yeah. I like W.
I think that for that reason, you probably wouldn't have liked living in the 15th or 16th centuries. I mean,
well, and I think it also proves that I'm not a witch.
Well, yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
My question for you: at that period of time where this movie sets place,
Okay, let me think back.
What was forbidden by the church at that time? And you got three options. You got to give me an option.
Okay, I was going to say, because I mean, like, if that's an open-ended question, then
how much paper you got?
Yeah.
Okay. Eating butter.
Eating butter. Okay.
Reciting the Lord's Prayer outside an ordained church. Or growing and eating corn.
Growing and eating corn. Okay, so I mean, in this film we see them recite the Lord's Prayer outside of an ordained church. And that one just seems weird because you would think the church would want you just, praying all over the place, but the church has also got some weird old rules and histories and stuff like that. Corn, I don't know, wasn't like, there's also corn. They've got like corn hanging as decoration on the outside of their house in this. And isn't like, I don't know. Feels like their society was built on corn. Like
I don't know if it was for just the sake of it. Like, I don't know if it was for like getting decor and like to spruce things up for their pumpkin spice lattes they were having. Like, I'm assuming it was practically drying out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, I'm sure it wasn't like, oh well, October again. Get the put the pumpkin on the front step.
Yeah.
So I got to go with. But butter. It just seems like I don't know. See, corn and butter are both things that I would associate with this time period and this group of people because corn, they were just probably growing a lot of corn, and it was like it's what you're feeding the animals. It's what you're. So I I could see not eating corn, but not growing it as well. Like you got like. And I feel like they were growing corn left, right, and center. But I don't know, what the hell are these people doing with their free... Like, they don't have Netflix, so if they're not out back churning butter, then I don't know what they're even doing with their time. So I'm going to go with the Lord's... Well, see, but this family was so devout, and that was the reason... It doesn't seem like they would break rules of the church. In doing so, I'm gonna go with butter only because it was the only thing that wasn't depicted. Right? Because we see corn hanging up, the heathens, and we also see we see them, as little Timmy, what's his name, is lying on the bed throwing to and they're like, our Father who art in heaven, and then they like start screaming at the twins because the twins don't remember the Lord's Prayer anymore. So
start kicking them and get them to
so I'm going to go with butter, but it doesn't make any friggin' sense to me. None of them make sense, but I'm going to go with butter because it was the one thing that we didn't see, this devout churchy family consume at some point.
So at the end of the film, that is correct. It is butter. At the end of the film, Black Phillip asks Thomason, "Wouldst thou liked the taste of butter?" And at the time, eating butter was declared by the church as a bigger sin than lying, blasphemy, or impurity.
It still is to this day. Like it's like impurity. If you have food sex with butter and then you lie about it, that is like the trifecta of the Catholic. Yeah, you can't. What? Yeah.
As you pointed out, reciting the Lord's Prayer during the witch hunts, it was widely believed that witches could not say the entire Lord's Prayer. So that is why the family flipped their shit when the two kids just stopped saying it partway through and just lie on the ground. So that was some.
Okay, then we're back to maybe I am a witch.
Yeah. And then growing and eating corn was false, obviously. But in the movie, William is shown holding a rotten corn cob. And that is potentially a reference to ergot, a fungus that produces hallucinogenic effects. So just as pulling back the curtains historically, theories to the witch trial, there's the theory that there were actually witches, which I don't believe in. I think it was all hocus pocus. But one of the theories is it was just economic issues. So there was famine. So people were looking for an outlet of blame. One thing or another theory is just that there was some mass hysteria. And as we know, as human beings, once, we get on the bandwagon and people being evil and ugly as they can be, that can get scary. But a third theory leading back to this corn is that this fungus was growing in the area, giving people hallucinations and different muscle contractions. So different things where they would have seen people having, stiff laying on the ground going, they're possessed by a witch, or hallucinations of, I saw my neighbor and she was doing witch things. So it's hard to know which of these three things, if maybe not all, a combination of all three, led to these hysteria of horrible things that happen. But maybe this was a bit of a reference to that in the film when they showed these rotten corn cobs being overgrown by fungus.
So two things.
Mm-hmm.
One is about butter.
Sure.
Because I did a quick Google search here.
Okay.
And it looks like, not only was butter like outlawed by the Roman Catholic Church, but butter is like one of the cornerstones on the founding of the Protestant Church.
Yes, I did see that.
Because there's a bunch of people who are like, well, I love the Lord, but I also want butter, so we can't.
I actually, related to that trivia question, I didn't mention this, but the Protestant Reformation leader, Martin Luther, rallied against this edict. And maybe fairly, because it was often only enforced against the poor. So it sounded like if you were rich, you still got your butter on your popcorn, but if you were poor, you were out of luck.
Yeah, so literally they were like, I love the Lord, but I'm not having butter, and I'm certainly not saying any Hail Marys, so let's form our own get up. So that. Also, the other thing, so you said like, okay, you didn't believe that there were witches. So my thought on that is, I don't believe that there was like, that in Salem there were all these like an abundance of witches and blah 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 blah. But like, but you like, is it correct? Because we've done episodes in the past where we talk about like paranormal stuff and hauntings and possessions and stuff,
supernatural things that don't have explanations. Yeah.
So, but would you? Maybe not like a witch with a cauldron, but like, you do believe in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you would believe in like people making, like people reaching out, praying to, making deals and bargains and pacts and stuff like that with quote unquote the devil, correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of stipulations in there, but I would generally say, like that is quite, in my realm of belief, that could be quite possible, I suppose. So
in my thought process, that's all it was, is that witch was a term that they gave to the women who had, for whatever reason at the time, made deals with the devil. And were, so it's sort of a common teaching, which is my understanding, because I once asked a church leader, right? I was like, why in the old days do we hear a lot of like more Hollywood-esque possessions, and in these third world countries and stuff like that, we hear about like more Hollywood-esque possessions, but we don't get that here, really. And their thought process was sort of the way that, his explanation for it was that, because here where we have video games and Netflix and all this other stuff that we can fill our lives with, that, because the whole point of a possession and the devil's goal is not to scare you, it's to remove you from God, right? And so, like, we've got enough junk and crap here that we're doing that ourselves anyways. And so
Yeah.
apparently the devil doesn't need to do that. And
We've
so
got,
like it
we've got
wouldn't
27 seasons of Grey's Anatomy for that.
Yeah, so like it wouldn't surprise me, like based on that logic. And listen, this is not me stating a belief system or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
This is just like
for sure.
out of curiosity. I was like, hey, so like, what is your explanation for this? And so my thought would be like, so back in these times, like if that's true, and if there is a devil and people are making pacts with him, then it doesn't seem uncommon or unlikely that some of them would be given not necessarily abilities, but like that stuff would get dark and creepy
Sure.
faster in those times. Yeah, I don't know. But so I do believe that there were witches, but not this like witch epidemic.
Right.
Like history tells us. I think a lot of people were burned at the stake or drowned or whatever that weren't actually witches. They were just, liked their butter. Like that was,
right. So listen, I want to get into the weeds just a little bit more before we move on, because you do raise up some really interesting points, and I just want to bite on it while we're here. Because I think what you're saying logically makes sense and it could be an explanation. I just think specifically in this case, some of the outlying or like surrounding details make me think it's more in the hysteria camp. Just again, the things I've read or seen online where it's like at the time there was just such economical hardship and people are what they are. They like to scapegoat people. So I think that fed into it. I think maybe there's this hallucinogenic aspect that fed into it. And when you look at some of the surrounding testimonies where, there was apparently a doctor who went on trial, was the local doctor in the town. And you go, okay, reputed, respectable professional of the community testified against some of these witches. But then when you dig deeper, it's like, okay, he was Harvard educated, but in the 16th century or whenever this happened in the 16, whatever it was, he was illiterate. Like when you peel back some of these things, or like when you look at, I think it was around 20 people that were executed, unfortunately, as a result of it. And 4 of them were actually men, believe it or not. And one of them was a man who had like the town magistrate or someone who was formally educated and formally like in a position of power testify against this man and say, I saw you use an invisibility cloak given to you by Satan. Where you just hear some of these things and you go, okay, I understand that there are supernatural things that we don't understand that you're alluding to, that in certain supernatural circumstances, and this could be one, I'm not refuting what you're saying, but where there are certain things we can't explain, and I think there are some things where people delve into things too deep and weird things can happen. The conclusion I've come to from reading these things go, people are messed up. They like scapegoats. People get in a hysteria train and just come up with all kinds of ridiculous crap. And just, like when you kind of break down some of the different things, I've come to the conclusion, I don't think any of that stuff was going on. Doesn't mean it wasn't. Who knows? But just, or like even when one of the main accusers was the town, I don't know if I guess it would be the priest or the town pastor or whatever it was. I'm not sure what he would be classified as. But at the time, like economically and just geopolitically, he was kind of losing a lot of his power. Well, after all these trials went on, his power ascended again. So you go, okay, this is a little fishy. Was he utilizing this for his own gain? Let's dig a bit deeper. One of the accusees or the accused people was his slave, Tituba, who they claimed was a witch and was one of the only people who actually said she was a witch, and yet they didn't accuse her. So, like, there's things where I start going, okay, there's red flags. I don't think anything real supernatural was going on here per se. Who knows? But I think humans are sometimes a bit scary in our mob mentality, and that can also be a scary factor.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Well, speaking of hot takes.
Okay, you ready?
I hope so.
This film.
Oh, dear. Okay, here we go.
This movie.
Yep.
and I cringe a little bit at giving it the title movie,
Oh, man, here we go.
is such garbage.
Oh, gee, golly.
And listen, I've put a lot of thought into this to make sure that I believe what I'm about to say.
And I know. Oh, good heavens!
Given the choice
I'm not
of
going to
watching
steal your. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I know where this is going.
Given the choice of watching this movie or Lost in Translation,
oh my gosh!
I would choose Lost in Translation every time.
Oh my gosh!
Every time.
Oh my gosh! Okay. Oh.
This movie is so dumb for multiple reasons that we'll get into, but it's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Except for like one or two moments,
sure,
it doesn't even begin to approach the realm of scary. So much so I sat and watched this movie with Brianne, who does not like horror films. She jumps very easily. They freak her out. Blah blah blah. Like the other night, we were laying there. We're at the Mel Gibson farm for fans of the show who know the history of her family farm and the movie the Mel Gibson. Blah blah blah. We're at the Mel Gibson farm, and
to be clear, it's not the farm where they grow Mel Gibsons.
No, too bad. And that'd be highly illegal, but super great.
Be a little weird.
And we're laying there, and I was like, "What would you do?" It's like a 100-year-old farmhouse, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, "What would you do?" Like talking about like haunted stuff and whatever. I was like, what would you grab? What would you not grab? In the process, would you go and investigate if all of a sudden we were the only ones there in a bedroom on the main floor, and there is a top floor? And I was like, what would you do if all of a sudden you heard what was so indistinctly, like, could not be mistaken for anything else, someone like running across the floor upstairs? And simply that question, she was like, stop, you're freaking me out.
Right.
Like her head goes to that freaked out space so quickly, right? So it does not like scary movies at all. And at one point towards the end of this movie, like well past the point that things should have been getting super scary, she turned and looked at me and she says, I can't believe, I never thought I would say this, but is this gonna get scarier or... And I was like, it's man. So bad.
Okay.
It's so bad. It's not scary. Except for like the only like crazy scene is when the baby dies at the beginning.
Oh.
And there's like weird stuff going on. Like just like it's very graphic. It's like human ritualistic, sacrificial.
Awful.
And so then I was like, oh gosh, like those are the themes. That's what we're in for with this movie, and it's not. It's not. We get that very briefly. So it's garbage for that reason. It's not scary at all. And I understand making things feel like historically like period accurate. But at some point, the person who was like, because I assume you're doing a film like this, you bring in some dialect coaches because you're going to need to get some people to like, you got to hone in on this, like the way of talking and the accent and stuff like that. At one point, a dialect coach must have gone up to the director, you would think, and have said, there might be a benefit in shooting this in such a way that people can watch it without subtitles. Because there are moments where it is so thick. The accent and the language is so thick, and what's his face, Pa, is like muttering stuff sort of like under his breath. He's just kind of talking quiet like this, and blah blah blah. But he's doing it in this like, thou they aren't thy dirt and you're like, What did he say? And there were several times where like 30 seconds of dialogue back and forth would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the 30 seconds of dialogue would end, and I didn't understand what the conversation was about. And actively thought to myself, but I also don't really care because this is such a stupid movie. And so didn't go back. It didn't like go try to figure it out.
Gosh almighty.
Because like it just doesn't matter.
It's serious. Okay.
This is a shit film. It is so bad. It is so boring.
Okay. Yes. Let's
Anyways, what's your initial impression?
I'm going to give you my initial impression. Wow. Okay. I've been struggling all week. Not as much as you have, apparently. But I've been trying to gauge how to handle this. I had some intel about how you might feel about this film. And I might not handle it the way you might anticipate. I think this is a good film. However, don't you dare. However, I won't be handling it in a way that I'm going to try and convert you or at least defend it to the nines. Yeah. This film has some content material that I'm like nuts and bolts wise, like if you break it down what's happening makes me uncomfortable. I don't appreciate, I don't enjoy. And so just we each all have our comfort levels of what we can see on screen and what we cannot see on screen and whatnot. So this isn't enough that I have to shut it off, but it's there's enough of the stuff on screen that I'm not going to watch this every Christmas or anything by that means. But I really like this film. I that's why it's like an odd thing. I'm kind of defended against you, but I'm also not going to absolutely like not rest until you say no, Pete. I like this movie. So what I like about it, I didn't write this down, but I actually do enjoy what they're how they're communicating in the time accurate dialect of English, I guess you'd call it. There's just something so unique to it that I haven't seen depicted in film, and it's just there's a richness to just saying, "What are you doing in here?" That like, "What's thou doing out of bed?" I can't do it to the same degree that it was in the film, but I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed this period, this window into a historically different time. I enjoyed that. The score was great. And specifically, you've got like the 2001 Space Odyssey-esque horrifying, human vocal soundtracks of people screaming and chanting. So that was scary for me. And I really, listen, what some would consider as boring or a slow pace, I would consider a slow boil throughout the film. I felt it was consistent, and you'd have to agree it's consistent. You might call it boring.
No, I don't think it's consistent.
You would say it's consistent. You would say it's consistently boring. I would say it's consistently boiling. It's tomato. But where I thought it was more building tension and conflict within this family to then a final resolution. I will say there's some things I disliked. As much as seeing this period was fun, the tone of the film, the color tones are obviously a choice that, it's a scary movie. It's a horror film. So like they're going for very bland colors that, help with the theme of isolation. And, there's just also the things of the period that I wouldn't enjoy, like, muskets backfiring in your face and the reality of the dinner table going, well, kids, we might starve this winter. Like there's things.
Those were the scariest moments.
Right. Listen, I'll get to this later. The scenes with the family, one of the things is a strength of this film is the scenes with the family. It's not what the witch is doing. As horrifying as what she's doing is bad, and that's the driving force of this film. What this film's strength is the human element. Like I talked about, like reflective of the witch trials and hysteria, it's the evil that goes on in the family of suspecting each other and mistreating each other or locking each other in a barn or doing this or doing that, all because they're kind of turning on each other when something goes bad. They're not really coming together. They're really turning on each other, or kind of like, no pun intended, but like a crow pecking at a wound. Like they're just I think that's where I differ from you. Those are the scarier scenes, and I think that's the point, right? But yeah, just what I disliked is both some color tone issues of like a filmmaking aspect, and then also just like realizing how crappy this period of time is, where like hysteria and like horrid events are just kind of like a run of the mill, reality of like, hey, we might starve this winter, so we're gonna think about giving our beloved child away to live in another family's home, just so we gotta do what we gotta do. And
yeah,
the mother was an insufferable bag. I'll give you that.
Oh, what? Like the scariest thing about this movie for me is their parenting skills. And the fact that CAS, or Child Protective Services, does not yet exist.
Yeah. I mean,
this film has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I just looked that up. 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
what the hell? So I'm reading some of the reviews here of people who gave it negative reviews.
Yep.
And I love this one. It's only when the family's livestock become involved that cracks appear in the earnest surface. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden the goat's involved and it's like, oh shit. Okay. but nothing, so many things about this film didn't make sense to me. Like, I don't feel like there's a clear explanation for what's happening at the beginning of the film. But they're thrown out because of how devout they are?
Yeah.
Why are they thrown out of the church?
I'm assuming, and I don't know if I needed an answer for that. I think it's obviously just, you got to fill in the blanks. Okay, either they're so devout that maybe they took something out of, they've become isolated for some reason, whether they took something out of interpretation and they think the rest of the colony's living in sin, or they were kind of a bit loosey-goosey on something and the colony said, no, wait, like that's a bridge too far, you need to leave. So obviously they've had a falling out of some sorts.
Yeah. So and they get the movie stars, they get this good old fashioned Amish shunning. And it's like, okay. And then, so then the baby's taken, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is graphic and it's awful, and Brienne was really upset by the imagery here.
And I want to stop you right there because, yeah, like that scene and that element, just as human beings, as parents, just as citizens of Earth, it's disturbing to say the least.
Oh yeah,
to say the least, like awful.
And so I was like, and there's this weird moment. So I have no issue with, and as has been discussed many times on our show, for anyone who knows me and knows our show, I have no issue with the nudity in this film. Right, that doesn't bother me at all. But there's this like weird moment where during the whole like baby sacrificial scene, where the witch is shot from it. She's like facing away from the camera. She's naked. And she's like using kind of like a butter churner thing to like mash up baby bits. Is that kind of what's happening? But like,
just uncomfortable even like describing it.
But like, and I'm trying to say this in a way that's like not crass or anything, but like, just the way the shot is set up, it's like 5 or 6 seconds of panning slowly in towards this naked person facing away from the camera. You can't see their hands, and all you hear is this like wet mashing sound. And I'm like, are we watching someone masturbate from behind? What is happening right now? And then it like pans around or it cuts to the different shot, and you can see, okay, they're just mashing up baby bits. But I'm like, so that was weird. Then there's a bunch of like, there is this fear of like what's looming. Is the witch coming at any point? Like the boy comes back and it's like, you see the boy, like the witch kisses the boy, and I assume because the boy returns naked, I assume did a lot more with the boy than just kiss him. Yeah. But like, And so the boy comes back, and the whole time, as soon as he returns, you're thinking to yourself, ooh, but I bet you he's not the same. Like, I bet you like he's possessed by the witch or something, and some weird stuff's going to happen. And it kind of does, but kind of not really. And then everyone starts dying because the goat has rabies. And, so there's all that. And it's like, okay, yeah, like that's sort of frightening. And the witch shows up not near enough in this film. Right, like shows up twice, but then it's like they didn't know how to end this. They knew they had a bad film, didn't know how to end it. It's like is there something I'm missing? What is the justification? Because my understanding is up until this strange change of heart and total character flipping. Our main girl, what is it? Thomason is her name?
Yeah.
I don't actually think she's evil during the movie, right?
I don't.
It's not until the end where she goes and actually joins the circle of flying naked women. And I'm like...
Coven, I think you'd call it.
Well,
maybe.
But I guess depends on the party you're at. But I'm like,
oh dear gosh.
Some people don't like some people don't like using the word coven. I don't know. But listen, why? What? Because her mother was a horrible hag, and she had to kill her mother. Like, what was the? Yes. I'm going to strip myself of my clothes, wander naked into the woods, swear my life and my soul to Satan, and join the witches. Like, that seemed so... There was no basis for that. There was no real explanation for it. It was just something that was now happening, and my only response sitting there watching it was like, what? Like, what? Why? What is happening?
That part is a good question, and I will get to that. I want to break down some of the things you've just said in kind of one by one fashion. So the first, I just want to say, and I can't say, it's going to influence my scoring, but this just isn't my usual cup of tea films. There's just some things that I'm just not comfortable with on film, and this film does breach it a lot. So that's why it's such a weird combination that I think it's a really well-made film, but some of the content material just drags it down for me. So that's the first thing. When you're reciting all these things that happen, I'm like getting cold sweats again of like, oh, that's why I didn't score this movie higher. But
and like,
I will say,
is the goat the devil? Is that
Yes.
Is the goat supposed to be the devil? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and that is kind of consistent with lore at the time. That was another animal that was kind of associated, to my understanding, with that. And that makes sense because we see kind of hooves walking across, where it's like one hoof and like one boot walking across at the end when she's sitting in the room, kind of being offered butter and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. It just, like, again, that seems like a stretch, and then it seems like, oh, this movie didn't make any sense to me, and essentially you're saying, well, yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me either until I started, until I went to the library and took out 3 books on the New England witch hunt, and I'm like, oh, okay.
No, wait, let me get there one by one. I'll get to where you're going. Well, I might not answer that part. I think it's just I knew that was associated with lore by doing like some stuff I've seen, but I think just the footprints going across and like hearing a man whisper after the goat walked in, that is what we are to believe, is that yes, the goat was, and the fact that the goat just went apeshit on the dad and killed him, that is the devil, or at least some member of a bad gang of dudes, that's for sure.
Like, I know people who have goats. Should I be
No, it's fine. Just don't walk into a room alone with them.
And they also eat butter. Like,
the goats are the people.
I don't know. Goat
Okay,
butter.
so okay,
So is goat butter like the most satanic thing in the world?
Okay, so let me break down. I feel that a flaw, and I'm tying this to Lucy, what you said about us not finding out an answer of why they leave this settlement. That is one flaw. I wish we would have seen more of their interacting with people in this settlement, or I wish they had gone back to town. I loved that little snippet we got at the beginning with the village and the townspeople and the indigenous locals. I just loved visually that interaction in that window into time, and I would have loved more of it, whether it's longer at the beginning, giving you the answer that you wanted, or whether it's that they did go back to town and go back in and out. And I know that's just not the story we're here to tell, because it's one of isolation and, being apart from others. So that's obviously not going to fit. So that was something I disliked. And that is to a point that you made. What I feel oppositely, and I think that this is in my like category, and one of the real reasons I think this movie is unique, where, we get a pretty early indication of like the witch coming to town, and like you said, it sets a tone where you go, okay, yikes, this is bad. What are we in store for here? And then you kind of perceived it as like nothing happens for a long time, and then something eventually resolves at the end. What I really liked about that is, unlike some supernatural movies, it right off the bat, it just gives you the answer of what's going down. It doesn't, try to play into the dramatic irony of the audience not knowing, or maybe the actors knowing and not knowing, it's pretty clear, the film isn't trying to trick us into going, well, it's physically possible there's a wolf, it's physically possible it's this, it's physically possible that a stranger next door stole the baby. It's like, no, this is clearly what's going on. And, it's not hint at, it's not teased at, it's just not confirmed at the end. It's confirmed right off the rip. And I feel like that's kind of a unique gesture that it gives. And then I think that's a bit unique as far as some of the horror movies I've seen. So that's one thing I like. The other thing that I like, that I hinted about earlier, the most uncomfortable scenes are of the family. As awful as that scene is where the baby's kidnapped, or awful as other things like with the dad dying or what have you, uncomfortable scenes where the brother returns and things aren't back to normal, just the uncomfortableness of just this family sitting around the table, and like I said, just being typical human beings, or the worst at human beings, like I should say, not typical. I'm not like some sinister person, but being the worst that humans can be sometimes. They embody that. They're turning on each other. They're not helping each other in a time of crisis. And just I get like they really embody the source material of these witch trials, where just the sister says something, and for the rest of the movie, these siblings accuse her of being a witch, even though she said it in joking and passing. So I just thought that was the second thing that was so unique, that it wasn't this, in a Paranormal Activity or something, where you've got a supernatural entity throughout doing things that prompt our characters to go along or be scared or do this or do that. Really, the witch kind of drops something at the beginning, and you see the ripple effects spread until the very end. And I think that's what's unique about it. And I think that's what's truly most scary. It's kind of like in movies like It, where the clown itself isn't that scary. It's when other human beings are doing awful things as a result, and are just as scary, if not more scary, than the villain. So that's something that I differed with you. As far as the ending, I don't know. I feel like I'm wondering if I'm missing something, because part of me, when I first saw this film a few years ago, and still when I watched it this time, I'm wondering if the sister is a witch, but maybe just not fully aware. I know she thinks she's joking around saying she's a witch, but just there's certain moments where I forget how it's exactly cut, but like she does disappear, or she's not on screen when other things are happening, or even just the fact that like when they're all locked in the barn at the end and things start going down, I don't even know if the camera pans to that older sister. It just pans to the younger kids looking at this goat in the barn, or looking at that animal that's being chewed on in the barn, and my only thought is like, whoa, if the door's still locked, is this the sister that we're seeing that's just changed shapes, that maybe the witch can change shapes and be a shapeshifter? So I don't know. I guess I'm not well versed enough to say if that was actually happening or not.
Yeah, because I don't know what the sister's a witch and she's just not aware of it. Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know either. So, and that could be just that is just a theory that I just kind of came up with as I'm talking, but I'm not sure if there's any weight to it. So I guess that I won't put any weight on that. I don't know, man. People do weird things when your whole family's dead and you've got like, she's never been particularly happy in the screen time that we've seen her. So people make weird deals for weird reasons. And, again, she doesn't seem particularly happy in the life that she's lived. Like every time it's, she's backtracking and trying to appease her parents for, whatever slight wrongdoing she's done, or appeasing her mother, who's an insufferable bag. And she's saying, I guess I'm just saying, maybe she just said, F it, this is bullshit, and I like butter. Like, I'm not being sarcastic about it. I'm just saying, as a character story progression, maybe that's where it was. Like, there are people succumb to temptation. I'm not trying to get political. I'm not trying to get religious here. I'm just saying this person, maybe she's vulnerable at that point. So maybe it makes sense that she just snapped like that and said, you know what? I'm not staying here by myself. I'm not going back to that village where no one will talk to me because we've been banished. What you're offering me sounds pretty good, and this sounds tempting. Like, I do want to travel the world. I want to have a nice dress. I'm tired of wearing this corn fungus covered dress and not having any butter. And I'm yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. And it's okay not to know.
Good.
I will say, what did you think of the acting? Because the acting, the father and the daughter, I thought were amazing.
Yeah, I think the acting's solid.
Yeah, I think the rest of the family is meh. Like the mother and the children are fine. They're adequate. But I felt like the father and the daughter were great.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. And I think that they perfectly encapsulate the accent and the time period and stuff. But it's also like, I think that's to the film's detriment. Like, you could give us, a movie set in ancient Egypt, or like, here's an example, right? So I've been playing, we don't talk about like, oh, what video games do you play this week? I've been playing through Assassin's Creed Origins, which is set in ancient Egypt.
Sure. And
yeah, all the Egyptians have sort of an Egyptian accent, and the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, have like a Greek accent, and that's great. That's fantastic. They're still all, for the most part, speaking English, because who wants to play a video game where you got to read subtitles the whole time, right?
Right.
And I understand that this New England English is still English, but it's like, another one of the rotten reviews on Rotten Tomatoes here is that this is like the King James version of horror films.
I think I've heard that before, actually.
And I'm like, just dumb it down a little so that, like, I don't know, like I felt like I was spending more energy mentally translating what was being said most of the time.
And I can't argue with that, because I get it. I think it just might be a matter of taste, right? Because again, I've seen this movie twice now. So, at times, I don't remember what it was like the first time I watched it, but this time I knew what was happening, so I could really lean into, okay, if I don't understand every word that he's just said, I still know what's going on. So maybe there was that at play with it. And maybe, like, I did just generally think it was a well-made film, and I enjoyed it differently than you did. So that could be part of it too. So I guess if I watched this film and it had been done in a more common, like modern day English, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
No.
But it's just such it's such a unique time period, and one that I've not seen as much in film, that I think I'm just all for it keeping that, and I appreciate it, and I did enjoy it at times.
Fair.
And I think that's just a matter of taste, because I completely agree with you. I'm the first person to have to throw subtitles on, and it's just annoying. And if you're having trouble following what's going on, I'm definitely there. I'm there a lot of time with different movies, so I get that argument. I think just fundamentally in this circumstance, I didn't have a problem with it.
Okay, that's fair.
Where would you rank this on on Robert Eggers' filmography? So, where the 3 films he's made, I haven't seen The Northman.
I have.
Curious about it. I've seen The Lighthouse, and I've obviously seen The Witch. So, believe it or not, I found The Lighthouse so uncomfortable. Like, not that it was a bad film. I thought it was a well-made film. Just some of the subject matter, I just felt so uncomfortable the entire film. Like, I was I could never lean back into my chair and, take a sip of that Sprite and have another bite of popcorn. I was just like, oh my gosh, like what now? Like, where are we? Oh. Of all the content matter that we've seen in The Witch, I would rather rewatch The Witch than The Lighthouse. So for me, it goes Witch, Lighthouse, and Northman to be decided. That would be my 1, 2, 3. You've seen all 3. How would you rank them 1, 2, 3?
I would put The Lighthouse at the top.
Okay.
Just because it's so artistic and creative.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't think... Like, I think The Witch is a beautifully shot movie. Like, the landscapes and the visuals and stuff like that are all great. Yeah. But I wouldn't say it's artistic or, like, innovative. Whereas The Lighthouse was.
Maybe.
So I would go The Lighthouse, then The Northman, and then The Witch.
Even though it's a scale of 3, you'd still put it Witch at number 4.
Yeah, and I would actually put Nosferatu, which is the film he's got coming out next year. I would put that above The Witch. And I haven't seen it. It's not out. It could be horrible. But it's got Bill Skarsgård in it. So I don't know how you
Yeah.
You don't scoff at a Skarsgård.
All 17 of them, which are involved in Hollywood.
30. Yeah. Which, did you know, actually, hang on.
Yeah.
Did you know, so there's a bit of a thing here.
Okay.
And I don't know if we've talked about this before. But not all the Skarsgårds are Skarsgårds.
Oh, I don't know if I've had this conversation.
So there's Bill Skarsgård.
Okay.
And Stellan Skarsgård, obviously, with the Andor series and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if I say Peter Skarsgård, do you know who I'm talking about?
I will in 30 seconds once I Google it.
He was in The Batman. He's in...
yes. Yeah.
The Magnificent Seven.
Yep.
But look at his name. He's not a Skarsgård. He's a Sarsgaard.
Right.
Yeah. So Peter Skarsgård is not a Skarsgård. He's a Sarsgaard. So this is just, let this be a public service announcement not to get your Skarsgårds and your Sarsgaards.
I have to admit, I don't think I even knew who Peter Sarsgaard was.
Yeah, well,
but I do now, and I won't forget it.
You know what he's not?
A witch. Oh, no, a Skarsgård.
Yeah, he's not a Skarsgård. He's a Sarsgaard. Look it up, people. Educate yourselves.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say?
No, I mean, like I said, it's well shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's well acted.
Yep.
I think it's as far from a writing standpoint, I think it's a shit show.
Yep.
I think it's got a pacing issue. I think it's got an intensity issue. Like, I don't know. It's like it's one of the reviews I read said that, like, it seems like the whole time he's not sure whether or not he's making a supernatural horror film or a psychological thriller. And he kind of flip-flops back and forth. and it just...
Do you think that's part of the reason why you didn't like it, though? Not that you don't like either of those genres, but were you wanting more a horror movie in spook season? Like, I'm asking, was if it had been, like, is it the film that's bad, or maybe were your expectations different and therefore it didn't deliver up to those expectations?
I think if it picked a lane and stuck in it, like maybe. Because I think that's the problem, is that it has so many horror elements. It starts out with the whole, like, the witch scene with the baby sacrifice and stuff. Like, that's horror. That's not a psychological thriller.
No.
That is horror. And it just seems to flip-flop. And I think that's kind of my issue with it.
And now I'm wondering if that's the reason I like it so much. Because... I didn't pick this, I didn't choose this movie as a result of that. And actually it was a suggestion from Patreon, so I guess I didn't really choose anything. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, lining this up with actual horror movies, I'm not the type of person to pick a horror movie to watch on a regular basis. You know me. The listener is pretty familiar with me.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why, and maybe that's why I am a bit more lukewarm to this movie, because it isn't a true stereotypical horror movie that terrifies you at every turn. It is more the psychological thriller, and maybe that's why I was more open to it, and I'm more pleased by it. I'm wondering if that's the answer. Yeah, maybe because it has again, that's a fair opinion to say there's too many cooks in the kitchen, they got to choose just one. And I think I'm just happy to have a foot on both sides of the fence with this and say I really enjoy both aspects of it. It's scary and horror-y enough to make me feel spooky in the spook season, but it's psychological thriller enough to make me go, okay, I'm not going to be scared for the next 3 weeks thinking about this.
I mean, I just looked at 3 websites, and it is consistently billed as a horror film. And so I think as a horror film, if folk horror, which is a subgenre of horror, which just includes figures of folklore, so like the witches, if that's what he set out to make was a horror film, then I think it's a bad horror film. Especially just because there's this massive uneventful lull in the middle of the film, the majority of the film, right? And if what you're making is sort of a dramatic thriller, psychological drama, then yeah, you know what? Then I'm still going to nitpick at the sort of the wordiness of it and the difficulty understanding, that and some of the plot points that just seem like conveniently there, like, okay, now she's just a witch. But then I don't think it's as horrible as a film. I still don't think it's good, but it's not as horrible of a film. But if what you're making is a horror film, then taking all this time, then showing us everything right at the beginning to set it up, and then just kind of showing us everyday life carrying on for a while is bad horror filmmaking. Then you're not building on my stress and my anxiety and the tension and the fear and all that stuff. You're not building on any of that. And for that reason, yeah. Like I appreciate the way the film looks.
Yep.
Visually. I appreciate cinematically what they did. They made this on a $4 million budget. It grossed $40 million. So good on you.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just definitely not for me. And I'm a horror film person, and I think had in the same way that like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie wasn't for you. But you can appreciate what it is, that it's a good, it's well made and it's a good film.
Sure.
But it's just not for you. I think had they really leaned into and stayed consistent with some of the the graphic imagery that we saw with the sacrifice at the beginning, I think it would have been not really my cup of tea. Would have been a little too intense for me. But I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more. I think I would have respected it and went, okay, you are showing me the visceral graphicness of the folklore of the witches at the time and the horribleness of their ritualistic ways and stuff like that. So I don't know. But scale of 0 to 10, sir, how would you rate The Witch?
I had a real difficulty scoring this because, again, like we said, you and I are just different people, and I just really adored some of the filmmaking decisions that just some of the filmmaking artistic results that we saw of this film. I loved the period and like the window into history, and even just some of the sequences, where they're long and drawn out, and then, you have the boy slowly approaching the witch's house and then dramatic cuts to dream sequences at the end. And, just everything about it. I think it's a really, really well-made film. And that's just where you and I differ on an opinion of a film, which is okay. But the underlying content, like some of the material that they're working with, is pretty horrific. Like, it truly is. And, after I haven't watched it in a few days now since by the time we recorded this episode, and I kind of forgot how horrible it was until we started talking about it again, and I think my blood pressure has just increased a bit.
Well, that's the butter.
So I can't give it a flawless. Like, it's not a 9 or 10 for me. I can't even give it a good, just because that's how uncomfortable it makes me. It's so weird. It falls within to the kind of the meh category, and I give it a 6 out of 10. It's just got so many things. It's such a blend of things that I really enjoy as far as filmmaking and things that I just really don't enjoy as far as content and like graphicness. And I think it's mainly just a few key scenes, but for me, it's enough to drag it down. So I have to give it a 6 out of 10. And it's just the weirdest 6 out of 10. It's the weirdest debate I think I might ever have on this show, where I'm so convicted it's a good film, but I can't, I'm not here to convince you that it's an 8 out of 10 because I can't even give it an 8 out of 10. Like, it's just, it sounds like I'm being wishy-washy. It sounds like I'm being on the fence, but it's just like the weirdest combination of just really thinking it's a great film, but there's some things in it that I can't give it a high score, and I'm just having trouble pinning it. But it's a 6 out of 10, I think, would be my final number. And I'm not even going to rank it on my score of things because it's a good film, but I'm not seeing this in theaters. I'm not paying premium access for it. Like, it's such a unique film as far as how I perceive it, like how much credit I want to give it, but how good it is. It is a weird blend. It is a weird blend, but it's a good film, just very, very traumatizing. What did you give this out of 10?
Like a 0.5.
Oh.
Like I said, I'd rather watch Lost in Translation. Like I feel like I would get more. But I mean, you have to admit that you would rather watch Lost in Translation as well.
I would. I truly would. But for different reasons. It's I can walk out of Lost in Translation with a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah. Well, maybe now so can I. Like, I could walk out of it and go, well, I didn't just watch The Witch. And then that would probably make me feel warm and fuzzy. I'm
so upset because part of me is like, I'm like, this film does not deserve the score you just gave it. But also part of me is like, I can't give it a higher score, so I get where you're coming from. It's, again, I've never been more conflicted in scoring a film than I think I have with this.
You think you're upset? Wait until friend of the show Marshall listens to this episode.
Friend of the show, I'll give him a shout out now. I was going to give it at the end. Friend of the show, Marshall, I know he will listen to this. This is one of his top movies. I got to check his top 25. I'm certain it's in the top 25. I forget if it's a 10 out of 10, but it was a highly scored film. It's a favorite of his.
Yeah.
I can already see the tear. Like, there are teardrops falling down his face as we speak.
I've been trying to convince him to bite the bullet and watch Rings of Power, which he has been boycotting.
He will. I think he's going to eventually.
Well, and I sang the praises of the show, and he said, that's great that you like it, but like having listened to the podcast for a long time, like I kind of get the impression that we like our tastes in film differ quite a bit. So I still probably won't like it. And I was like, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know, I can't remember what I responded, but I thought to myself, I was like, well, I don't know if our likes are that different. But this certainly doesn't work well in the favor of that theory. So, yeah,
again,
awful film, man, just awful.
No, it's not. It's a good film. Just
awful,
uncomfortably
awful,
uncomfortable material. Not a bad film.
Yeah. What'd you watch this week, sir?
I think just one thing. The other thing I think it would make more sense to talk about in an upcoming Halloween episode. So I will just say I watched a 1997 Chevy Chase film called Vegas Vacation.
Oh yeah.
And it's your typical vacation movie in that series where,
got nipples, it's got Corvette or like convertibles.
I don't think it has nudity, but it's got like Corvettes and
Vegas Vacation doesn't have, then it's the only one that doesn't. No, Vegas Vacation has nudity.
I don't think so. I watched it and I'm telling you there isn't.
You got the Disney edit or something.
I mean, again, I've talked about this on before, like the TBS special. Maybe when I watched it on TV as a kid, the nudity was cut out. But I watched it the other day and there was no nudity.
I feel like Beverly D'Angelo definitely maybe not.
I don't think so.
She does in the first one.
Maybe. I feel like I haven't seen. I don't think. Maybe I've seen them all. I grew up with Vegas Vacation, so when I watched this, I just wanted something light and fluffy to laugh at, and I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's got moments where I laugh. It's got moments where I cringe. It's a vacation movie. He does stupid things. He does awful things. He does odd things. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Wayne Newton actually is a pretty fun, like, as an adult now when I watch, like,
Wayne Newton shows great.
Up and, like, hits on his wife. It's just so ludicrous. Like, it is, there are, like I said, there's moments where you laugh out loud just because either something funny's happening or conceptually things are funny. And just, but it is what it is. I'm not like I walked away from it with the conclusion that vacation movies are what they are. They're not my favorite. But I think Vegas, this is going to hurt a lot of people. I think Vegas Vacation is the best. I'm not a huge Christmas Vacation guy. I'm just not. I know. I never grew up with it, so I have
It's because Siegfried and Roy, isn't it? Because you're a sucker for Siegfried and Roy.
So 1990s. Yeah, with Christmas Vacation, I didn't grow up with it, right? So I've only seen it in the last 5 or so years or 10 at most. So it's not a tradition. And I know that upsets a lot of people because they watch it every Christmas and it's just like a family tradition. And I'm just not there for it. So it's a hot take. It's not a popular one, but Vegas Vacation is higher on the list than Christmas Vacation. And Vegas Vacation is what it is. It's not perfect, but it was just a funny, lighthearted thing to throw on.
Oh, I bet you European Vacation is the other one that has nudity in it.
Maybe. I've seen, I couldn't tell you, I think I've seen them all. I couldn't tell you what, other than that they go to Europe and they go to like some theme park. I couldn't tell you what happens in the other
And they
ones.
knock over Stonehenge.
Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The other one I will wait till next week. So that is all I guess I'll just say I finished season 3 of Stranger Things. I've been doing a rewatch and it's just interesting. I can't put my finger on the pulse of which is the best season. I've, thought season 1 was the greatest for the longest time. I've had some people tell me season 4. I think you on the show at one point were considering season 3 was maybe your favorite. And I don't know what the answer is anymore. I think it's just kind of like I have an agnostic approach of who can know which is the greatest season. Just because when I thought things were better in the earlier years, you have characters like Steve Harrington who aren't as developed. So like in season 2, 3, and 4, he's this more fleshed out character. So like different examples of like different points in time where I thought the show was better. It actually was weaker in some ways because some of these characters didn't have such a pivotal, important role. So it's just, it's just kind of like Star Wars where you go, okay, you might have one favorite episode, but there's things throughout the entire 9-film trilogy that there are moments that are important, that are genuine, that are authentic to the whole story that's being told. And regardless if you think some are weaker or not, it's still Star Wars, it's still Stranger Things, and the underlying story, characters, moments, feelings, etc. are all great.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair.
What did you watch this week?
Oh, so many things. So, I mean, on the Stranger Things topic, we finished Stranger Things, finished season 4. Yeah, you know, I think the first half of season 4 is a little weak.
Okay.
But boy, does it end strong. Really, really, really loved the end of it. Loved the overall, like I'm not gonna go into spoilers. But I loved that, like, that there was explanation for, like, I love that it sort of tied the rest of the show together and kind of like, you know, you kind of got to see who was pulling some strings all along and stuff like that. So I thought that was really great. I love that the season finale is 2.5 hours long. Like, to me, that's just, I don't know, it's fun. Really grew to love characters like Eddie. Eddie's great. And then the finale had me. I wish
Eddie had the nickname Reefer Rick.
Reefer Rick.
Right, because that's where he was hiding out, right?
He's hiding out at Reefer Rick's place. Yeah. You know, and then there are some, at the end of the episode, there are some people who are reunited. And yeah, it was definitely tear-jerking. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it and cannot wait, but unfortunately have to, for season 5. The only thing I would say is, like, you know, I came out of season 4 and it was kind of like, in some ways, I kind of felt like they've now done sort of what, like, the MCU has done, and that it's like, it's kind of just like too big now. Like, the thing that they set up at the end of season 4 that's going to be our main issue in season 5, I'm just like, this kind of just seems like it's losing some of its, like, groundedness.
Yep.
Where now it's like, okay, like, where do you go from here? Like, like, they're just trying to, like, make it bigger every season. Yep. Up themselves.
No, that's a very fair observation.
Yeah. So watched that. Watched the first 3 films in the Friday the 13th series. Yeah, I had never seen them. And then a couple of weeks ago or something at Walmart, they had, like, you know, it's like $15 or whatever for, like, the full series on Blu-ray, like all 10 films or something. So I was like, okay, yeah, all right, sure. Like, because I own all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Nice.
And so I was like, okay, this seems like, you know, the next place to go is to have, like, a marathon of these old crappy slasher films. And I mean, you know, they're slasher horror films from the 80s. So, like, they're low budget and they're super campy and they're, you know, they're not the pinnacles of cinema by any mean, but if that's what you're sitting down to watch, is this campy, ridiculous, like, you know that a girl's about to get murdered because she's taken her clothes off, and that's like, nobody dies unless they're naked. Like, so you're like, oh, okay, like, I don't know, if you're in the mood for that and that's what you're sitting down to watch, you know that's what you're getting when you go in, then they're fun, right? They're fun. And then the other thing we just finished watching was and bear with me, you're going to roll your eyes, you're going to think less of me. We just finished watching the extended edition of the Hobbit trilogy. In the process of watching that, and then Lord of the Rings, and then watching Rings of Power.
Wow.
Yeah. Just kind of it got me in the Middle Earth mood, right? And I wanted to to kind of go through and
I've been craving a Hobbit rewatch, and I do feel that we should have that on horizon in the near future, because we've done the trilogy series, we've done the Rings of Power series. We've got to do the Hobbit in the near future, I think.
Yeah, I would say that every time I rewatch the Hobbit trilogy, there are several things about it that I hate and that I will never stop hating as a fan of the book. But I would say overall, as a whole, I dislike the trilogy a little less every time I watch it. So, yeah. So there's that. That's what I watched. Yeah.
That's an interesting point. I don't know if I can agree with that, and I'm not sure if I can disagree with that. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, they're still not great, and they're certainly not the Lord of the Rings, and there's definitely some big issues. But a lot of things that I found myself disliking before, I'm like, okay, you know what? I get it. I get why you did that. I'm okay with this.
The lows are incredibly low, but there are still some highs, and just even from a soundtrack carryover perspective, there's some riffs and motifs that kind of, from the soundtrack we love in the original movies, when Legolas walks in, you get his theme playing in the background, which you can't in Rings of Power just because those characters aren't around. So it's just, there's some good moments in the Hobbit movies too, regardless of how bad overall they are, or at least not as good as they are as the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and I think I would say that like each time I watch it, my lows are just as low and my highs are just as high. But sort of a lot of the things that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. A lot of those are sort of transitioning over into, no, you know what, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
So overall, it's making me dislike them a little less each time.
Sure.
So yeah, wrap this up, man.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for joining us this week. Please join us again next week as we talk about something else that's just different. Please follow, subscribe, check out all our socials, give us a good rate and review. Check out our Patreon page. Thank you for all our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you. We are just so excited to be creating content and for having you join us on the weekly regular. And if you're not at that point of supporting the show yet, that's okay. And if you are, check out the webpage.
Now,
and until we chat next time,
go ahead.
Well,
I was just going to say we've got a Scream 2 episode coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And we've reviewed Scream 1. Now, did you ever think, I know you didn't think you would enjoy Scream 1 as much as you did.
Mm.
Did you ever think you would actually be this interested in looking forward to doing Scream 2? Like, that's bizarre, right? And I mean, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've done 2 of them, I'm like, well, especially with a series like Scream, because there's so many like twists, and we can like break down like, was this a good twist? Was it a bad twist? Was it like, did you see this coming?
You get some practice, because there are 6 of them?
The 6 will be coming out.
Right. Oh.
Next year? Yeah,
Juicy.
next year.
Juicy.
January, I think, maybe, or something.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, we will continue that journey.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that, folks? He said we're gonna continue the Scream journey. He's just confirmed it. We're gonna keep watching them.
Yes, eventually all of them.
Yes,
I'm sure.
It's we might have to. Okay, we'll figure this out.
I'm not committing to seeing the 6th one when it comes out.
It doesn't come out. Hey, it doesn't come out till April. It doesn't come out till April.
It's possible, but we got a lot of stuff on the docket that I would consider more important, and I think you would too.
Oh man, Courtney Cox, man. Courtney Cox and
you
David
shouldn't tell
Arquette?
me you shouldn't tell me who's still in it or not, because that would give away the who's going to die or not when I watch each episode.
And Nicolas Cage and like.